Hi there, Rome from Sage and Cinnamon Interiors here. Today I'm going to be working on refinishing some Ikea bar stools. They're beige, I hate them, and I just wanted to do something a little different, so I've decided to stain the top, paint the legs, and do a little gold gilding around the feet. Okay, so for step one, we need to sand the finish, sorry. So step one, we need to sand the finish, the current, sorry. Okay, so step one, we need to sand the current finish off. So I'm going to use a hand sander for the flat part. Obviously that's the easiest way to get it off quickly. And then for the legs, I'm going to use a sheet of sandpaper and maybe some steel wool. Because I'm going to stain the top and paint the legs, it's more important for me to get a really evenly sanded surface on the top, because you're going to see that through the stain. On the legs, it's a little less important, but I do want to sand it back to give it a nice rough surface for the paint to hold onto.
Okay, go.
Now that you're done sanding, you're going to use a small brush. Make sure that there's no dust left. If there's dust, that'll settle in the paint and that'll leave a very bumpy, uneven surface. Okay, so for the legs, I am going to use, I just went to Home Depot and got these little testers. It was a couple of bucks, nice and cheap. I chose this Bermuda blue. It's a nice kind of flat, rich colour. This is an interior paint, it's a paint and primer, so it'll give a nice thick surface. And I am just going to paint on the first layer of this nice, rich royal blue. So because I'm going to do the gilding process at the bottom of each of the legs, I'm going to stop painting roughly 6 inches from the bottom. That saves me having to try and cover up the blue paint, because the colour of the natural chair is closer to the gold than the blue. The first layer of paint is on the legs, and I am now going to do the first layer of stain on the seat. I'm going to use this little foam brush. It's just nice and easy, and it just kind of allows you to put a nice even coat. I'm going to use this Minwax stain in Special Walnut. I know I like this colour because I've used it on a previous project. You don't want there to be a whole lot of stain on the brush, so it's better to do lighter layers than thicker layers. You want to stain with the grain of the wood. You want to go along with the grain of the wood. Sorry. The next stage is to tape off the bottom of the legs. You want to leave as much as you would like to have painted in gold, or you could do a different colour. I'm choosing to do gold. So I've already done one little layer here, and I'm just going to go around the bottom. Now, as an easy gauge, I'm using the bottom of this rung. It doesn't need to be perfect, but, you know, as straight as you can get it. So what I'm doing now is just covering the rest of the chair with some paper so that the spray paint doesn't fly around and coat the rest of the chair that I just painted. For the bottom of the legs, I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum metallic paint and primer. It's a spray paint. It's pure gold. I'm hoping to get a really metallic, shiny gold. But I'm going to back up in case this isn't shiny enough. So as you can see from this area here, it's going to take a couple of coats to cover that blue. Whilst I'm waiting for the gold paint to dry, I'm going to do another layer of the stain on the seat. Always going with the grain. So we're here for day 2. The paint has dried overnight. I applied another layer of stain to the top of the seat this morning just to give it that colour that I really wanted to achieve. I've got these little Martha Stewart craft paints. They are brass and gold, 2 different colours. I couldn't get the same, so I'm going to mix them and apply them to the bottom of the chairs to really get that shine, that metallic gold that I really wanted. The spray paint was just a little flat. It's actually turning out to be a really beautiful kind of slightly rose gold colour. I quite like it a lot. I'm now applying the second coat of the Martha Stewart metallic gilding paint. I'm about to apply the first layer of poly onto the top of the chair. So I've used an oil-based stain, so I need to use an oil-based polyurethane. On the legs I used a water-based paint, so I'll have to use a water-based polyurethane. I'm going to apply maybe 2 or 3 coats of this, but it takes about 6 hours in between each coat to dry fully, and it's best to give it a little light sanding, very, very light sanding in between each coat so it really adheres to the surface. Nice light coat. The chairs are finally dried. I'm so excited. I can finally apply the water-based polyurethane on the legs. This is the last stage. I did about 3 layers of the oil-based poly on the chair seat. That's the heavily used portion of the chair, so I wanted to make sure that that was nice and dry. That took a little while, 6 hours in between each coat. So I've let that dry, and now I'm going to apply this onto the legs, and then I'm done. When you're applying this, you want to make sure that you are evenly coating the surface. Chairs are complete, they're dry. I'm so happy with how they turned out. I cannot wait to get them in the kitchen and start using them right away.